freedom ring. Here's your SO reporter with a factual picture of the world news as it happens.
I was a writer-director of segments of your SO reporter, which pioneered the techniques of TV journalism, then in its infancy. Remember when the Dodger baseball team played at Brooklyn's Ebbets Field before loyal and boisterous fans? Well, the management encouraged the hijinks and one day rewarded each person with a musical instrument, free entry to the game.
This is a trumpet. You playing the trumpet long?
No, just about a week.
Just about a week?
Yeah.
Just long enough to get under the wire and get into the ball game?
Yeah, I started it when I heard that they were going to have this.
Is this your trumpet?
No, it's not mine. I borrowed it from somebody.
Right.
When he sees me out here, he doesn't know I'm coming to the ball game.
He doesn't know you're coming.
No.
He's out to see you with his trumpet.
Yeah,
Get a little
I
mad
think-
about the whole thing, huh? Will you hold that for just a minute, please? This is your SO reporter, Al Morgan, and that's the story of Music Appreciation Night.
Back here in New York, there's a story about a new kind of house, a moderately priced 3-bedroom place that for all we know may be your dream home. Anyway, here is our correspondent in New York to tell you about it.
I was part of the post-World War II economic boom, which included mass, affordable housing in the suburbs.
To ask you the important question, what's the basic idea behind this house?
Well, what I try to do, Al, is design a home for the average American family and give them luxury at low cost.
Low cost like what?
Well, under $12,000.
Larry, this house looks to me like the kind of architecture that we usually associate with California. Is that the basic idea behind it?
Well, Al, it's quite a bit different, and as we tour the house, I'd like to explain exactly why.
Larry, what's this? This looks like a very shallow swimming pool to me.
Well, Al, that water is on there purposely, and it's controlled from down below in the storage room. It can be either filled or drained from down below there. And there's about 1 inch of water on this roof, and the purpose is to make it at least 15 degrees cooler in warmer weather.
What is this all about? I don't know a thing about it.
This heating unit is designed to operate on about $60 a year, we calculate.
$60 a year, not a month, $60 a year.
1 year. We'll heat this house at 70 degrees at zero weather.
I noticed this picture window over here. You know, one of the things that's always bothered me about a picture window is that they're very pretty and they're very attractive, but you don't get any ventilation with them, do you?
Well, just watch, Al.
You got a gimmick here that most picture windows don't have? Well, I'll say you have. What's happening here?
Insulated glass and disappears right into the floor.
I suppose during the summer you can leave it down and you have cross ventilation right to your living room all the way through.
Working along with the other window we have in front, we have that cross ventilation right through the entire living room. It makes a 20-foot living room a 32-foot living room 6 months of the year when it's open.
And that's the story on luxury living at low cost in New York.
And that's your SO report for this week.
Shortly after the Second World War, Mr. and Mrs. Kelly built their house in the hills. Others soon followed.
Yes, sir, we got plenty of space out here. What more could you want?
It's just astonishing, isn't it, how fast they build up?
Sometimes I wonder where the money's coming from.
Well, we're getting paved roads and city sewerage.
More than 1 million private homes going up this year, says in the paper.
And what about the apartment houses?
Well, it's a great country, Mama, for progress. They say the East Coast's going to be one solid city from Washington up to Boston.
Not all was perfect in this post-war economy.
We know this is the richest country in the world. We may not feel rich as individuals, but we do know we live in the midst of riches, surrounded by the richness of growth, of building, of great projects, by the richness of what we discard and replace with something new or better. Most people don't think of consumer goods as wealth, household goods don't look like money. Still, this is wealth, within the reach of most people.
I felt very close to the fate of one worker whose story I told on film.
John?
Got any coffee, Doris?
Sure, darling. What's the matter?
I got the pink slip with my paycheck today.
Something wrong at the plant?
I'm laid off, Doris.
Laid off.
Not fired, but I'm laid off temporarily. Me and all the rest. Closing down the plant for a while.
How long?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
That's what they said.
Why?
Thanks. Well, because they're overstocked. I got slow business. I mean, there's no use making a lot of watches they're not going to sell.
You go back to work in 6 weeks?
That's what they said.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure. It might be 6 months. I don't run their business. Look, honey, all I know is what they said, and that's what they said. I hope it's only 6 weeks.
How are we going to live for 6 weeks?
We'll figure that out.
Some will find the search for work fruitless. Like most Americans, John Sills is at home when he's at work. Prefers even odd jobs to no job at all. Money earned to any kind of benefit payments. John Sills is an able-bodied man, ready and willing to work. But so are some 900 others who worked in the same watch and instrument factory beside him. Skilled men, a trained labor force, not easy to pick up again if they scatter. Out of 110 million adult men and women, about 68 million work. But for those times when there is no job, another resource is ready. Not relief, but an income to sustain a man in rough times. Most unemployed men and women are slow to apply for unemployment insurance. 1/3 wait at least 3 weeks. The majority go back to work before exhausting their benefit payments. Unemployment insurance does not make up for the loss of a job. It does not pay a full wage. It pays half, or less than half, for a time. Unemployment insurance is sound economics and humane. It meets the needs of an industrial society and of many people in many different circumstances. Each case of possible fraud is investigated, and all states seek specific information from employers, rely heavily on their reports. When claims are valid, as in the case of John Sills, unemployment insurance payments keep a man and his family afloat until there's work again.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
Guess what I got?
Celery.
What else?
Carrots.
What else?
I give up.
You're sick of macaroni, aren't you? And macaroni? And beans?
What have you got there?
Extravagant.
Tell me.
John, I went over the budget.
Budget? What budget?
Well, the kids haven't had a good meal since the layoff. And since your insurance money came today, and things aren't quite so rough, I bought us a pot roast.
Growing up in the Middle West, not far from farmland, I welcomed the opportunity to direct a film for the United States Information Agency about a farmer forced to make difficult decisions in order to bring about economic progress.
An old farmer, clinging to his ways, a part of the land he had labored on all his life. John Carlson is a man holding fast to the familiar and the traditional. In his eyes, an old horse collar was important and not a thing to be thrown aside. Here at last was an American I felt I knew and understood. John Carlson had built his life upon a single hope, the hope that his son would live out his life on the land as his father had before him. For generations, this is the way it had been, and this is the way it should be, John Carlson believed. He and his ancestors had tackled hard times and good, working with a fervor that made farming a way of life. But his son had different ideas of how the land should be farmed, of the way a farmer should work and live. He had come home from the state agricultural school with new plans. The old way of work from dawn to dark was a thing of the past, young Carlson thought. A man must have time for his family. A man must have time for himself. His father thought he was running the farm as if it were a business, and he the bookkeeper and file clerk. He was borrowing money from the bank to buy machines, breaking down the stone fences and combining one field with another. John Carlson's idea of a farmer was a man working in the soil, not sitting at a desk. Efficiency, competition, these were just words in a book. John Carlson hoped for the best, but he couldn't help feeling doubtful. Who would ever have guessed that the day would come when you could work a farm cheaper with machines than with men? Here was a story I understood, a point of view I've encountered all over the world. Men like John Carlson, living to watch their heritage to their sons being used in a new and unfamiliar way. Standing aside as the patterns they have lived by, the lessons they have learned, yield to new methods, new concepts. Only one lone draft horse left in the barn where 10 had been before. But what of the son's point of view? What story did he have to tell, this modern farmer? This restless generation demanding to know more and more about the land, bringing up the subsoil itself to be analyzed, analyzing too the milk from his dairy herd. To young Carlson, the farm is no longer an adversary to be wrestled with blindly. He shared his father's feelings for the land, but he saw it in a different way. To him, the farm is something that can be known and understood. Is there nothing ahead but sitting by and watching? John Carlson asked himself. The sons have dreams of their own, different dreams. Perhaps it's only right to step aside and let the new generation take over. But there must be something more for an old farmer to do than to pass his time playing checkers. There must be a small army of us by now, Carlson thought. Old farmers, suspicious of the future and puzzled by change. Change that has displaced their muscles with machines, their farming lore with scientific knowledge. It was hard to make a decision. But a man must be good for something more than this, he told himself. Work is the meaning of my life, he decided, even if I have to learn to work in this new way. Here is a story that could have taken place in any country in the world. A story of generations, the old and the new. A difference which is timeless and